I can say what I didn't like, and at that time I wasn't that into New Zealand politics, and I was overseas. But I did. The reason why
Yeah.
I I actually voted for her in that 2020 election and regretted it subsequently when I saw a few videos
Mm.
of press conferences and interviews that she'd done. Her attitude towards the people who were criticizing her COVID policies, just the dismissiveness and shutting down press conferences. In one video I saw, I think it's quite a famous video where she says
Oh,
she's only going to take questions from accredited media.
yeah, but they bought
Um,
off, don't forget, they bought off the media. They paid off the
mm,
media. They paid off the
uh,
media. That was all, part of the problem.
oh, I'm not aware of that. What happened there?
Well, we were spending hundreds of millions of dollars to keep media companies afloat during COVID. And there'd been a secret, Willie Jackson had set up a way of subsidizing media companies to do news if they agreed to follow government policy on things like the Treaty of Waitangi. Our mainstream media basically sold their impartiality to the government of the day.
Mm,
And the line between the state and the fourth estate became very, very blurred. That's why the platform exists.
mm. Okay. Well, that's interesting. I hadn't heard that. Like I knew that, for example, One Media and One News and other companies, they're state media. Like they take money from they're funded
Yeah.
by the government, right? Um, but you're saying there was like another
Everyone,
situation.
well, I didn't. My outfit doesn't.
Yeah.
Yeah, there was a thing called the Public Interest Journalism Fund. There was New
Mm,
Zealand On Air. There was the Local Democracy Reporting Fund. And you got the money if you agreed to run your company in accordance with the treaties of the Principle of Waitangi that you couldn't find written down anywhere.
yeah.
And you had Maori-centric hiring policies and you were rainbow tick friendly and all the rest of it.
Seriously.
Yeah,
Okay, I had no idea about that.
okay. And this is what the platform was built off the back of, that we thought that was bullshit.
Yeah.
And that's
Yeah. Yeah.
why public trust in mainstream media in New Zealand, since the time of Ardern, has fallen faster than any comparable democracy in the world.
Have seen that. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Wow. That's crazy. I don't think people know about this, Sean.
Well, they haven't been listening to the platform then, because we've been banging on about it for 3 years.
Can you give a few more details to paint a picture on what exactly that was? It like so it was a government organization that set up a sort of a fund
Yeah, it was
that directly.
administered through New Zealand On Air and the Public Interest Journalism Fund
Mhm.
through the Minister of Broadcasting. And you'd apply for money just to run your business or to make programs. And the programs would have to sit with a criteria. And there were a whole bunch of government appointments, politically correct people who decide if that documentary or that program was culturally safe.
Mhm.
And you could only get access the fund if you signed a contract with the government that you would run your business in accordance with the principles of the Treaty of Waitangi as defined by the government. Or you wouldn't get the money, and if you broke that rule, you had to give the money back. Hundreds of millions of dollars was dispersed in this way.
Wow. What years was this taking place?
It started about 2020, I think, maybe 2019,
Okay.
and National have put a stop to it.
Hmm.
But now all the media organisations, Radio New Zealand's still funded, and New Zealand On Air is still giving out millions of dollars to its friends to be doing woke shit. So we haven't got rid of it yet. But
Okay.
now, of course, they're all running off, and Labor were going to tax Google and Facebook off their advertising revenue so they could keep handing out the money to their mates in mainstream media. But
Wow.
National have said that's a dumb idea.
Okay. So that's basically a situation where elite people in the government have control over the media, is it
Yep,
not? What the hell?
that's been happening in New Zealand for 6 years.
What the
We
hell?
have Television New Zealanders openly advocating for a separate Maori government. Its political reporter is a self-confessed Maori activist. Three News is full of woke mofos. That's why they kind of went out of business and reconstituted. Our mainstream media is a disgrace. They are political activists who have sucked at the public tit for years. And even when their audience and their public turn them off, and they just turn off the comment section
Yeah.
and will not engage when people say, we are sick and tired of you propagandizing us.
Mm. And it seems as though like a lot of the older generation actually aware in some ways of like I've seen One News since I've been back a few times, and you know like I watch it with my parents, and they know like they watch it and they're like, oh, this is so bullshit, this is so skewed, but they still watch it because I think a lot of the older generation are kind of like
Oh,
One
yeah,
News is
because
what
they're
they know.
programmed for it. And that's a bit of a
Yeah,
challenge, but
yeah.
and that's what I hope the platform will be one day. It will be big enough to say we are the new thing, but the way we consume news is changing,
Mm.
and it's a long road.
Hmm.
But it's all about the principle of telling the truth, which our media
Yeah,
haven't been.
yeah. That's in really short supply at the
Yeah.
moment.
Hmm.